summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today I'm doing Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts. This song is a classic, and I've got a great sounding and fairly easy piano arrangement for you. Let's jump in. Okay, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description, and that's gonna help you follow along and see where the chords and the lyrics line up with each other. Also, I wanna mention, I am teaching this in the original key, but the studio recording is a little bit sharp, so if you play along with it, it sounds really weird. So if you wanna play along with the recording, just search on YouTube, Summer Breeze 440 hertz. That's standard tuning, and some people have posted pitch corrected versions that you can play with. Let's start with the intro. Here's the underlying chords for that, and I am going to just start out with a left hand arrangement that you can play the kind of the whole thing with the left hand so that we can then add the So we're gonna start with our fifth finger on E and then come up to this B. And this is middle C here, just for reference. So E, B, and then we're gonna drop our hand into this A minor 7 chord. It's an inversion. We got an E, a G, an A, and a C. So we've got, so for the timing of this, we need to think in eighth notes. First off, we're in 4/4 time, so each measure of the song gets 4 counts, thinking like 1, 2, 3, 4. But we're dividing the beat in half for the eighth notes, thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and those first two notes, the E to the B, are going to be on the first two eighth notes of the measure. 1 and then you just kind of hold it on 2, and then you hit the chord on the and after 2. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. By the way, if it's easier for you or just sounds cleaner to you to omit the G in that chord, instead of doing that, just doing that, that's totally cool. It is sort of stripped down at the first part of the song, then when it returns in later sections, the A minor 7 is more present. So let's do that awesome right hand melody now. That takes place over 2 measures. We need to think in the eighth note. So here's all the counts for 2 measures. And so the notes are gonna be E, G, and then all the way up to D. I'm using 1, 2, and 5 for the fingers there, and that's just on 1 and 2, and then on the very next eighth note we can add a B. 1 and 2 and nothing on 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on the offbeats on that A and G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then in the second measure, once again, we play on the first 4 eighth notes. And that's gonna be, we're gonna cross our third finger over to this F sharp and just do F sharp, E, D, E. Once you get to the E, you just hold it for the rest of the measure again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So the whole thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now we can add that left hand back in. Remember, it's on 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So it intersects with the first 2 right hand notes. The D is on its own, and then the chord hits when you get to the B here on the and after 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then again here it's going to be on the F sharp and the E. Nothing on the D, but then you're going to connect on that E. And so the whole structure of the intro is 2 times through this without the melody. So 2 measures total, and then 2 times through the whole melody with the hands together, which is 4 measures total. Last thing I want to mention before we just dive into the verses with the chords and the singing is that I had to compress this piano part. Ideally, I would want 3 hands, 1 for the melody, 1 for chords, and 1 for the lower bass notes that you hear. But if you're playing in a band and someone else is doing that lead melody, you might want to do an arrangement of the chords at the beginning like this. So I'm not going to get into that too much because I don't think most of you are going to do that, but you can copy my hands just an octave lower. So that sounds good too. All right, so let's do the verse. Here are the chords for that. It's gonna start out with an E chord, E major. I'm gonna use my left hand fourth finger on this low E down here. And then we've got a G sharp, a B, and an E. So it's an inversion there. And most of the measures in the verse have 2 chords in them. We're in 4/4 time, so dividing that in half, it's 2 counts per chord. And I'm just gonna do quarter notes on each, so just pulsing on every count. So E2, then we go to this G2. So that's coming up to my second finger for the bass note, G, B, D for the right hand. Now we're gonna go to this D chord. Now this is a really smooth transition. I'm gonna keep my right hand 5th finger on the D and do this, coming down to my 5th finger in the left hand on the D bass note. And then this is the same shape that we had for the E chord. It's just down a step, so F sharp, A, and D. So 2 counts on that, up to A major, just root position, A, C sharp, E, then back to E. So notice that that's also really smooth, kept my pinky there on the E. Back to the same E we did, and then to this A minor 7. So I came to this A bass note, and it's G, C, and E there. So it's a different voicing of the A minor 7 than what we did before. And notice that from that E, once again, my pinky stayed on the E. So we've got, see the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night. So rhythmically something weird happens there on the E to the A minor 7. Instead of just pulsing on every count of that measure, we do 1, 2. I'm not gonna play on beat 2 because we're gonna switch to the A minor 7, an 8th note later on the and after 2. 1, 2, and 3, and then just hit again on 4. Okay, next line is the same except for that last measure. A little light is shining through the window, lets me know everything's alright. So it just stays on the E, but it does still do that rhythm. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Cool, so that's pretty much it for the verse. The one other thing I want to add is just for some energy, and this is optional, I'm going to do some extra bass note hits. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. So just on the and after 2 and the and after 4 gives a little bit more movement. Cool. After that, we've got the chorus. Summer breeze makes me feel fine. So we're starting off on an A minor 7. It's voiced the same way we did the A minor 7 before, but notice I'm using my second finger. So my left hand had been down here with my thumb on the A. And so just right when you get to the chorus, it's nice to just do a little shift because that allows your first finger to be ready for coming up to this B minor 7. So, okay, so we got the A minor 7 for a full measure. Stepping up, so to the B bass note, and then A, D, F sharp for the B for another full measure. And then right back to the A minor 7 for a full measure. And then this part is really cool for Jasmine in my mind. Okay, so we've got this G, and we're inverting it up 1 from where we had it before. It's B, D, and G. Just doing a G bass note here with my third finger. So 1, 2, and then we've got this F over G. I'm just gonna move this shape down 1. A, C, and F, still with the G bass note. Next thing is E minor over G. Same thing happens again. We're still on the G here. We're just moving this shape here. So G, B, E, and then back to G. So G, F over G, E minor over G, G. Now, the rhythm is a little tricky. Each one of those chords, except for the first G, hit on an 8th note in between counts. It's gonna be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. So it hits on the ands after 2 and the ands after 4. In my mind, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. And I'm just hitting the left hand on the same rhythms. And so it just does that whole thing twice and then just goes around again. And I do want to mention, of course, in this moment here, over the E minor over G to the G, that measure is where that really cool guitar line happens. So you need an extra hand to do that. And I think it sounds cool without it and just doing the chords. But if you want to know how to play that, it's B, C, D, C, B, G. So just stepping up and down and then skipping down to G. And the timing would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, after that chorus, we have a little instrumental section. That's just going to be the... It just goes through that melody twice. Then we're in another verse. It's just like the first verse, just with different words. Then another chorus, and all the choruses in the song are the exact same. Then we've got the bridge. So here's the chords for the bridge, and it starts out with 4 repetitions through that E minor to A minor 7 we've been doing. The vocal melody is now singing the same thing as the... So I'm not going to play it with my right hand. I'm going to be doing the chords and singing that melody. So for the chords, I'm going to voice it like this. So same sort of thing we've been doing, but with the left hand down lower. And then I'm going to hit G, B, E. And then when I go to the A minor 7, I'm doing it like that. I'm coming to an A bass note here and doing G, C, and E. So really the only thing changing in the right hand is that middle note is stepping from a B to a C. Sweet days of summer, the jasmine's in bloom. July is dressed up and playing her tune. And I come, so just a little maybe hit on beat 4 there on, and I come, okay, home. This part's really sweet. We got a C major chord, just a root position, C, E, G, with a D bass note, 2, 3. From a hard day's work. So just stepping that up, E bass note with a D major triad there, D, F sharp, and A. Once again, just root position. Day's work, and you're waiting there. So just back down to the C over D. Not a care. So D over E again. In the world. Really cool chord here, calling it a C sharp minor 7 over B. We've got a C sharp, E, G sharp, and B there. So 4 notes in the right hand with a B bass note there, and that's for a whole measure. 2, 3, 4 before we go into the final verse. Let me just play through that last line of the bridge one more time. And I come home from a hard day's work, and you're waiting there, not a care in the world, for I see the smile awaiting in the kitchen. So then we're just in the third verse, just like the other verses, different lyrics. We're basically done here. Then we have another chorus, just like the other choruses. Then we have the outro. It goes back to the... Goes around on that a bunch of times, and the recording fades out, which is always hard to do just solo piano. So maybe I'll just do like 4 times through the melody. And just end there. I think that sounds kind of nice. If that feels really unresolved to you, you could go back to an E minor or something like that, but yeah, then the song is over. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. I am now going to play the full song so you can see how all these different parts fit together. And if you enjoy this video, give it a like. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this one. Also, in the chorus section, I'm gonna have a third hand appear and play that really cool guitar melody just for fun, but if you only have 2 hands, I would probably just stick with the chords. Okay, here's my version of Summer Breeze. See the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night. A little
everything's alright. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. I see the paper lying on the sidewalk, a little music from the house next door. So I walk on up to the doorstep, through the screen and across the floor. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Sweet days of summer, the jasmine's in bloom.